It's only been a few months since the breakup. Honda said Nissan wasn't moving fast enough to turn the company around, and Nissan didn't want to be a subsidiary of Honda. Nissan's new CEO, Ivan Espinosa, has rekindled the relationship. Is Nissan and Honda back on the menu? We have some exciting news to talk about today. Nissan and Honda, there's a good chance of this working out in some shape or form. But that's not the only news we're going to talk about today. We're about Toyota's price hikes, Genesis first hybrid coming to market. Man, am I excited for that. And Maserati could be up for sale. Guys, if you're new to the channel, my name's Kirk. I talk about car news just about every single day. I'm leaving in a couple days to drive the refreshed CR-V Trail Sport, so make sure you stay tuned for that hybrid crossover coverage. I'll be in California for that one, and then I have more Honda stuff coming after that. Hyundai, Toyota, Nissan. So stay tuned for all that and hopefully a lot more later this year. Honda is considering a business collaboration once again with Nissan. 4 months. We're just 4 months away from that horrific breakup and collapse. It was kind of embarrassing for both companies. But the tariffs right now could make them hold hands, okay? They could be forced into joining hands here. If you missed my video a couple days ago, could Toyota absorb Mazda? Well, because of tariffs, Toyota and Mazda and Subaru are going to be working closer together than ever before. So Honda's CEO, Toshihiro Mibe, at their annual shareholders meeting, he was asked about Nissan. He said, we will not completely rule it out. But he also said it won't be for the time being. When I hear that, maybe not anytime soon. He also said that they are back in talks. They're discussing collaborations behind the scenes right now. We want to maximize the benefits of collaboration and regain industry-leading competitiveness. But he did not go into specifics. Nissan CEO Ivan Espinosa, we are actively looking for opportunities in the U.S. market, particularly because of the current market situation. And of course, Honda is one of the candidates we are discussing. Toyota outsells Honda almost by twofold in the United States. If you put Lexus in, I don't know if they're including Lexus in there in Acura. I would assume that they are. All right, so we have almost 2.5 million for Toyota sold in the United States, and about half of that is U.S. production. Honda's is about 60% U.S. production, with Mexico and Canada being a huge part of it. They essentially don't have any Japanese production for cars sold in the United States besides the Civic Type R. It's essentially that is it. Now, it is my understanding that some of the Civic hybrids were produced over there. It could have been the components produced over there, but it was such a low volume that it's just like a blip on the radar. All right. But look how dependent Toyota is on Japanese imports, Mexican imports. All these Mexican imports for Toyota right here are the Tacoma, nothing else. All right. And Toyota brings in so much from Canada, from the NX, RX, and the RAV4. Honda too brings so much in from Canada. Civics and their best-selling vehicle, the CR-V. All of Honda's Mexican production is one vehicle, essentially, the HR-V plus Acura ADX, but that just went on sale. Nissan doesn't have any production in Canada. They make a lot in Smyrna, Tennessee. They have the Pathfinder there. They have the Murano, which the sales are not good on that. They have the Rogue there. They also build in Canton, Mississippi, the Altima and the Nissan Frontier. They also should be building the Xterra down there. But this is where Nissan is kind of in trouble. All right, they bring in quite a few vehicles from Japan. What are those vehicles? Well, the Armada, the Z, the Rogue Platinum, the Aria, the new Leaf will be brought in from Japan. And I'm sure I'm missing something out there, like the QX80, obviously. But Nissan brings in quite a bit from Japan. As you can see, maybe, I don't know, 15% or so. Mexico is not as heavily worried about. Canada is not as heavily worried about because those cars and those parts can be in alignment with the USMCA agreement, so they won't be hit with tariffs nearly as hard as something like an Armada brought in from Japan. All right, so when I look at Honda, it has no production capacity available for Nissan. Nissan has a ton of production capacity available. And Nissan can use that. They can kind of rent out their facilities to build cars for Honda or Mitsubishi. All right, Smyrna, Tennessee is nowhere close to capacity, and even less at capacity, I believe, is Canton, Mississippi, where they build the Ultima and the Frontier. So Honda, Nissan, and Mitsubishi, in my opinion, need to have a vehicle that they all can rebadge and be built probably at the Canton, Mississippi plant, where Nissan has so much production capacity available. Mitsubishi has zero production in the United States. They all come from Japan at this point. And you can see Mazda's, well, they don't put Subaru in here. Subaru is, they import quite a bit from Japan, about half. Mazda, it's more than half. Mazda is in a really bad situation here. All right, you can see how little U.S. production that they have. And that's why they're going to be leaning on Toyota for software for the CX-5 and a lot of pretty much all their new and upcoming vehicles. They could be relying on Toyota for their hybrid systems or the co-development of them and much more. So Mazda needs Toyota. Nissan needs Honda. Mitsubishi needs Nissan and Honda. All right, so all these Japanese automakers right now, they're being forced to work together where they're being hit with those import tariffs into the United States of 25%, sometimes more. And just a reminder, Honda and Nissan said they've been working on electric vehicles and autonomous driving since March of 2024. Mitsubishi joined that conversation with them in August of 2024. Honda accused Nissan when they were trying to figure this thing out more than 4 months ago. Honda accused Nissan of not moving fast enough and restructuring the business. All right. Ivan Espinosa took over for Kota Machida, and he planned to close 7 factories within a year or two and lay off 20,000 workers. Apparently, this has been enough for Honda to retrust Nissan and being a financially responsible company that could work with Honda. Honda's net profit is expected to drop 70% for the fiscal year ending March 2026. Nissan thinks the tariffs could take over $3 billion from their profit as well. Honda and Nissan have said that Honda will be supplying batteries for upcoming EVs for Nissan in 2028 out of Honda's LG joint venture plant in Ohio. It's just the beginning again. We're back to square one with Honda and Nissan working out a deal. With how slow these companies move, it could be years before we see some sort of tie-up with Honda and Nissan, if we see a tie-up. I know that they need to make it through these tariffs, and they might have to work faster together than they would like to. But Toyota has price hikes across the lineup. I mentioned that the Prius got anywhere from $200 to $300 price increase depending on the trim. I'm like, a $270 price hike is not bad in today's inflationary, ridiculous economic times. These price hikes start July 1st. Toyota's not like raking people over the coals here to increase prices. Their dealers are different. I'm not saying their dealers are not, but Toyota's barely raising the MSRPs of their cars, and it has nothing to do with tariffs. It just says market trends and rival pricing strategies. They could easily have said, oh, yeah, we're going to raise the prices $1,000, $1,500 per car. There would have been rising in the streets. I guarantee it, because Toyota's already, in my opinion, on average are a little bit too expensive, especially everything outside of their base trim levels are so expensive. I mean, that's why I can't recommend the new 4Runner unless it's a SR5 trim. The new Tacoma is so expensive. All right. So Toyota cannot afford to raise prices so much. Look, Lexus, this is the weird thing. Lexus, obviously the luxury brand of Toyota, their prices are only going up $208 per car. That doesn't make sense because their MSRPs are higher. So you would think they could raise prices more per car, but they're not. They're definitely not. It's $62 less per car for a Lexus for price increases. Now, Mitsubishi and Ford have also raised prices. Ford on their Mexican-made vehicles like the Bronco Sport and the Maverick, for example. Mitsubishi increased prices by an average of 2% on Wednesday, which is like Mitsubishis typically are cheaper than Toyotas. So Toyota's only raising about $270, And you have Mitsubishi $600, about 2 to 3 times more than Toyota's price hikes for cheaper cars. Nissan and Honda have not raised prices in the US yet, although Honda's US unit explained that some models may face price increases as part of standard price adjustments. I am reviewing the Honda Passport Trail Sport this week, so stay tuned for that review. And separate from vehicle prices, Toyota last week raised fees in the U.S. paid by car buyers at the dealership. The delivery and processing and handling fee, which includes the cost of transporting the vehicle, increased $71 for Toyotas and $108 for Lexus. That does not sit well with me. All right, so we go from $270, but you add $70 more dollars $71 more dollars. So now we're talking about $341 per car price increase on average. All right. And so that's not cool. The delivery fees I hate them. I'll just say that. I do not enjoy them. They go up all the time. They're baked into the price of the cars. And what's really frustrating is that the manufacturers can advertise their vehicle's price without DHP, or destination handling and processing. And that shouldn't be legal, in my opinion, because you can't get out of that handling fee or the processing fee. It's built in. It's always added on to the MSRP of the car. All right. It is irritating to no end. All right. So when they say, oh, cars starting under $30,000 MSRP, but after destination, it's like 32 grand. It's ridiculous. And it's so silly because let's say you're looking at a BZ or something, right? That's built in Japan. Let's say it has a processing handling fee of $1,200. Well, guess what? A Camry could have the same processing fee despite it being built in the United States and maybe being built just down the road from where you live. And it still has that same ridiculous fee. It's a flat fee, and they really, really screw the customer over. And it's not just Toyota, it's all the manufacturers do it. It's stupid. Anyways, Genesis coming out with its first hybrid. It'll be a 2.5 turbo hybrid. Should be a 6-speed auto. We don't have any information on it in terms of the transmission. All right. But I would assume they're using the 2-motor hybrid that's being redeveloped for all of their front-wheel drive vehicles and just rotating it for rear-wheel drive. I think Hyundai's going to do that here with the Genesis hybrids. Mass production of the GV80 hybrid will begin in September 2026. So we're still over a year away from Genesis' first hybrid. It's kind of crazy how slow they're moving for a Korean company. All right, the GV80 hybrid, the GV80 hybrid will be the first of 3 key hybrid models, followed by the G80 hybrid in December 2026 and GV70 hybrid in March 2027. I think Genesis could absolutely be a real thorn in Toyota/Lexus's side with their new hybrids, including Hyundai, I guess, if you want to expand it there. Meanwhile, Jeep's Stellantis, but Stellantis is the company that oversees and owns like a gajillion different car companies. It was made in 2020 or something. It's a very new company. We used to think of Fiat, Chrysler, Alfa Romeo. Those are just like some of the companies in here. All right. So Maserati, of course, is a part of Stellantis. They're considering selling Maserati. I don't know who would want Maserati. Okay, Maserati sales are not good. They depreciate like a rock. A Stellantis spokesperson says Maserati is not for sale. Well, that could just mean currently. So 2 sources with knowledge of the matter have said that they are considering selling. Stellantis is considering selling Maserati as the automaker seeks to overhaul its sprawling portfolio of 14 brands. How can you manage 14 brands? I don't know. So Stellantis has a new CEO, Antonio Filosa, and he will be looking at the viability of all these car companies' 14 brands. Let me know if you want Stellantis to sell Maserati and who should buy Maserati. Maserati has beautiful cars, absolutely stunning vehicles, but who would want them? I don't know. You guys tell me. Should Ferrari or Lamborghini or Volkswagen or whatever, should some of the rivals buy them up. I don't know. It would be really sad to see the Trident go, but like Maserati is often, they're like the Mitsubishi. I hate to say this because it's not fair to Maserati, but they're like the Mitsubishi of Italian brands, or you could say the Mitsubishi of just the US car market. No one thinks about them ever, hardly ever, when considering buying a luxury vehicle. Maserati, it's possible they could be sold to who? I don't know. Geely could buy them, for example, the Chinese company Geely. I wouldn't be surprised if they bought them, like they bought Lotus and Volvo, for example. I'm going to shut it down there. Nissan and Honda, they need to get it together. I think they need each other more than they think they do. Well, especially Nissan needs Honda. And if they can find a way to share each other's plants in the United States to avoid some tariffs, figure it out. Figure it out. Time will tell. Thank you guys. Have a great day. I'm losing my voice, so I got to shut it short. Have a great day and peace.